happening next, this next step, you will drop homeowners all over the place. You'd be like, man, I keep getting homeowners all these roofs, and none of them will get the contracting day with me. This is why. You're not doing follow-up, and you're not informing them of what's coming next. You never leave the home without letting them know what's happening next, okay? And you don't ask, you tell, okay? So, and after you tell them what's happening next, what do? Follow up. Absolutely, you follow up. Because the thing that happens next, getting that scope, depending on who the insurance company is and what their policy is, some of them will write up a scope right then and there before they even 5 weeks. It just depends on their product. Okay? So depending on who you have, there may be a whole follow-up in between the adjuster appointment and the scope. And the others, you write their contract right then and there. Do not do that. We'll get to that here in a second. Okay? But this follow-up process could be the lengthiest portion of what you do. And you absolutely cannot fail these 2 steps. If you fail to inform them after the adjuster appointment and follow up after the adjuster appointment, you will lose. Talk at me.
Like an example of a follow-up after the adjuster appointment. Like if you're waiting those 5 weeks. Is that the same thing?
Same thing. Said all you do is adjust it accordingly. So, and I do have, I went the wrong direction. And I do have one that I actually have written out that you guys all have access to. But it's pretty much the exact same thing.
So you know, like there's rules sometimes like a historical, like say this house is like a historical house or something. Mm-hmm. Does any of that apply to this when we do a roof? We have to
permits and things, yeah, they do. Yeah. And the cool part is our production team knows that. So it'll be good for you to know those things. The more information you have and the more, it's that fine line, right? Like you don't want to give a homeowner more information than they want, but you definitely don't want to leave them lacking in information. So, and it's something we're going to get into tomorrow when we talk about the different types of homeowners. It is crucial that you know the type of homeowner that you're dealing with, and you have to treat them accordingly. Kind of like I was talking, communicate on the level that they want to be communicated on. That's one of those ways. So, our production team knows all that stuff. They know who needs permits, who doesn't need. So we'll get your back on all that stuff. But if you know, it's definitely good to know. I mean, that's not a problem we have here or anywhere else. Yeah, where you guys are at, that's like the further and further east you get, that's northeast, I guess, that's more and more of a thing, right? Yeah, it's not like the only historic part of, and Josh can tell you, in our area, like the one nice historic part we have, like what dumb, stupid, rich people do is they go buy $1 million home that's this old, awesome home, completely knock it down and build a new one. It's like, then just go freaking build a new home. Why'd you destroy a freaking awesome, like old school, like, so you go down like our museum area where there's all these beautiful, built in the last century homes. They're just tore down. You see brand new homes. I'm like, you freaking schmucks.
3 times as much if they just.
Yeah. 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 Last time I went to Kansas City, I was like, man, this is cool. I wouldn't want to afford any of these, but this is cool. So the next part after the adjuster appointment is tell them what's coming next, do the follow-up, but like the next phase of the actual insurance process is the scope and or the estimate, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Now, a couple things to know on this before you guys see this. Act like you've been here before. If you do have that adjuster that will write you an estimate the second he leaves the roof, you are not going to contract them right then and there. Okay. That comes across as you're not looking out for them. Okay. The whole thing we're going to do, and we talk about what that process is, when it comes to getting the scope, when you give the homeowner the next steps, here's what you're going to say. And I don't care if he said, hey, I'm going to go out and write up your estimate right now. This is still what you say. If it says, hey, I'll get your estimate to you in 3 weeks, this is what you say, regardless of how long it's going to take. Okay. And it's in my sheet, but I want you to understand it. What's going to happen is he's going to write you an estimate. When he does that, I need you to get it to me. And then I will put together some options for you where we will sit down and go over it. Okay? Options, when you say that word, when they get that big scary scope, they know, oh, listen, this means nothing. Marcus is going to give me options. Cool. Here you go. Okay? Otherwise, they see that and they go, oh, not doing that. Right? So when you say options, that's like, okay, I'm not getting in a rush. I'm going to look out what's best for you. And again, when we here in a second, when we get into the scopes, you're going to see there's lots of ways you can go. And you're going to give absolutely everybody 3 options. Now, I've worked with many guys like, hey, man, really, there's really only one way this homeowner can go. Cool. You still tell them 2 others. And you may tell them, hey, now if I'm you, I would really only be concerned with this one option. Cool. But you're going to show them 3. Okay? You're going to put the time in. You've been here before. This ain't your first rodeo. This ain't your first touchdown. You're good at this. Okay? So, and by letting them know, you're going to put together some options for them, and then you will get together and sit down and go over them. Okay? I don't know how many times I've heard guys say, yep, just go ahead and send me your estimate. Cool. You think someone's going to spend $20,000 with you from an email? I don't know how many. Again, there's a guy in one of our states, got some stubborn dudes. For 3 months, when he got to this point, could never close anybody down. And I kept saying, hey, man, I see that nobody's signing contracts with you. What's going on? Well, I'm sending their estimate and they're just not signing back. Stop emailing contracts. Well, they live 30 minutes away. Cool. You don't want to waste the gas money. I get it. Do you have gas money right now? You're not wasting it, but do you have any? Maybe you should go make a drive. And then he finally listened and he got 3 in 2 weeks. Like, telling you, if you're sending these off via email, you're stupid. Simple as that. Okay? Now, what does an actual scope look like? Again, these are just some examples. This is going to be kind of your cover sheet. Okay? This page really means nothing. And there's 1,000 different versions of these guys. So what I'm about to show you, like most of these scopes are going to be like, give or take 12 pages. Like I've seen a 40-page scope before. Like they're going to look different for every insurance company and for every adjuster. So understand it's something of this nature. Okay. So they're going to get the cover sheet. It's going to say, hey, this is you. These are your things. One of the pages or many of the pages are going to look like this. And then you're going to have the money page at the end. Okay. And there may be 4 or 5 money pages. Okay. But on here, you're going to see all these lists of different things. There's going to be some money on here, not some money on others, yada, 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 right? These are your line items. So these are all the things you have to do. So like you guys talked about, and you said, what you learned yesterday was how many layers there are to everything, right? Well, like that's what all this is. This is all the items. This is the itemized list, okay? They may see this and go, oh my gosh, or you see all these different totals. It's like, okay, so this one thing has 4 totals. What's the cost of it? Is it all things that like they get freaked out? Or then you get to this money page and they're like, well, hey, so my roof's 16,000, but I'm only getting 10,000, or actually I'm only getting 4. Like they're going to go in a lot of places, right? And this is going to be your jam. This is going to be where you get to be good. When I talk about putting together options, when you're sitting in front of them, and when you guys get your first contract, you're going to be hollering at me or your manager. Okay, so we'll work through this with you. So that's why I'm only going to go so deep into this, because literally I got guys that have been here for a year or 2, and I still have to help them with every one of them. Like these things are difficult, right? So you're going to kind of sort of braze over this. Oh, you got a question? They might answer their phone. Okay. So You're going to kind of sort of go over this with the homeowners, but then when you give them their 3 options, your 3 options page is going to be 1 page and it's going to have very few numbers on it. And it's going to say option 1 cost you this much money. Option 2 cost you this much money. Option 3 cost you this much money. Okay. Where some guys will go wrong is they'll be like, okay, all right, now you following me? So you're going to take 16,000, you're going to subtract the 7,400, and it's like 30 minutes later. All right. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't. Nope. No, it does not. Your whole job of this is to make this as simple as possible. Some guys will do phenomenal, then they'll get to the scope and they won't make it simple. Like when you call your insurance agent and you're like, hey, it's Marcus. They all know me. Got a new truck again, or I got a new car. Like, you think they go through, I'm like, nope, you know the things I want, how much it costs? Cool, see you later. Like, it could be a 3-hour conversation, or it's like when you get your insurance renewal policies and, you got that big freaking book. Have you ever looked at that big freaking book? Absolutely you don't.
Do they not consider this claim filed on the homeowner until they finalize this deal, or is it already a filed claim because they have a claim number?
No, it's a filed claim. You got a filed claim on the authorization day. When you guys file an authorization, that's a filed claim right then and there. This is the answer to that claim. Now, what will happen is when you do see these 2 totals here, when you see this total recoverable depreciation, net claim if depreciation's recovered. So their first check in this case here is $4,566. Or excuse me, I'm sorry. Their first check was $5,963. That's what their first check is, to basically turn it over to you to get product started, to get the ball rolling. They don't get this second check of $4,500 until all the work has been done and been completed. Now, why do insurance companies do that? To make sure it gets done. That's exactly right. And do some homeowners take that first check and run?
Yeah.
And if they do that, what happens?
Well, in my cousin-in-law's case, her husband was supposed to fix the roof. He did it at the wrong time. Then it rained on their house while all the shingles were up, and the house filled with water and the drywall down in the water.
Yep.
So yeah.
So if the homeowner takes that first check and runs, or just cashes the money and never does anything with their roof, after a certain period of time, they're going to get a letter from their insurance company that says, hey, I never got a completion of that job getting done that we told you had to get done to keep your roof insured. Your insurance is canceled. And they're not going to get new insurance until they've put on a new roof, because the other insurance companies are going to know it. So now they already spent the other money. They have no way of getting that secondary check, because this secondary check, there's a time limit on that. They have to get it done within 2 years. So if the insurance company calls you up and says, hey, you didn't do the work, 2 years is over, remember that money you spent, we're canceling you. So now they have an uninsurable home, and they're going to have to pay for that roof in its entirety before they can get insurance. Yep, go for it.
That 2 years you just said, is that standard, or does it vary with insurance companies?
Standard. It varies. Yeah, some are a year, some are longer, but generally speaking, it's about 2 years. Make sense? Yep. Anybody else? Yep.
So what happens with us if that happens?
What's that?
What happens with us if that happens? Nothing? Like if they did take the first check?
Oh, yeah, nothing. Yeah, I mean, you told them. Yeah, so if they take their first check and run, it means you didn't close them. So that sucks, right? That definitely sucks. What else?
Has that ever happened to you?
What's that?
Did anyone ever did that to you before?
Well, I mean, whether they picked another contractor, I don't know, or they took that first check and ran. What I will tell you is I really, really don't like getting ghosted, and I never stop following up. So Josh's rule: follow up till somebody dies, until they die, or till they tell you to die. Yeah. So, but I've had some where I drove, where because I work a neighborhood, like we talked about yesterday, you're going to work 7 neighborhoods, and you're going to work one neighborhood quite a bit. Where I saw the roof go up, I'm like, okay, well, they went with a different contractor, or I never saw a roof go up. So if I never saw a roof go up, then yeah, they took their money and ran. And those are things that, yeah, everything that you see that I have, my whole follow-up process, like this, that came from failures. Good call. Guess the Zoom meeting dropped.
The internet's been being weird. I had to connect the live stream on YouTube to my phone.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we take 5 while I fix this? You guys want to go and take a break real quick? Kind of a weird pause, but it's getting forced anyway, I guess, so we'll do it.
You can tell them that the live is up and they can see the screen. It won't be a screen share, but they
Okay.
can see it from the camera. If you want to look at it, it's on here. And it is with audio. Yeah, it's your audio.
Oh, sweet. Cool.
Yeah, it's got to be on my phone though, because it dropped it probably 20 minutes ago. Did you see me like kind of scrambling and moving stuff around? That's what I was doing. Because I thought it was the battery.
Yeah, we lost internet. Oh, crap. I guess it only allows you to stay on for so long.
The Zoom does?
Yeah.
Or the ABC?
Their ABC connection.
Did it drop out like that yesterday?
It did the other day, like when I couldn't even keep up my Google Sheets.
I thought it was just because there's probably so many people in here.
Sorry about that, guys. You still there?
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, we lost internet connection. Sorry about that. Let me get you pulled back up again here. Get you guys back on track with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I looked up and the screen was blank. So I since I had to reboot the internet, guys, I sent them on a quick break. So why don't we take 5 and we'll pick back up here in about 5 minutes. Is that good with you guys? Okay, see you guys in 5.
I'm trying to figure out how to put the link in the chat for anybody who may be struggling with audio or something.
Okay.
To watch it on here.
If you text it to me.
Okay, it's in the group chat. I don't know if it's this specific one, but it'll take you to the page. Here, I'll pull up this one.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Click that and see if it says that it's live right now.
The only part that it does
If not, I have the one that's live right
is
now.
this will allow you to work.
It doesn't look live.
That's the last one? Okay,
Yeah.
Here's the current
What's your last name?
What's that?
What's your last name again?
Frazier. Frazier, spelled like an athlete. Isaiah, your stomach still tore up a little bit there?
Dude, yeah, I'm not doing good.
Yeah.
Gosh, I can barely eat breakfast this morning.
Breakfast is ass.
Yeah, breakfast is not the best.
Like powdered eggs you give us and shit. I feel like it was back in fucking basic training all over again.
You didn't like prison food and basic training?
Bro, the bacon smells so
Basic?
bad, bro.
Basic training was the most fun I've ever had.
You ever read the food?
Huh?
Have you ever read the food?
Yeah.
It says for soldiers and inmates.
You know what it is?
So the food they give you, especially food they give you in the field.
MRE?
Or like even when they bring food out.
Yeah, the hot meal.
Yeah.
So
Before you peel it, it
I
says
worked
for
in the prison. I worked in the
prison.
military prison. They gave you in the military. You ate the same food they did. You went through the line. You used the lunch. You went through the same food. You ate the same food they did.
That's crazy.
But the food they give you in the military is a lot better than like normal prison food. But still,
Wow.
it's all fake eggs, fake everything.
Yeah, you got.
How they made the eggs.
Gotta watch out for that fake stuff.
You put water in the powder to make fake eggs.
Or the microwave thing.
How you doing, man?
What you talking about? It's an Army supply store right there.
That's what you guys be for lunch. He said chili with beans.
The new ones are horrible. They don't even get hot sauce no more. People are making bombs out of them.
Do what?
And the MREs, they don't get
Oh, okay.
hot sauce no more. People are
They take the
using
candy
it.
out too.
Yeah, they took the candy out because they don't want people basically having candy. So they took the hot sauce out of them because people in the field are making bombs out of the hot sauce and shit.
Make bombs with the hot sauce.
Put them on fire.
You guys are bored as hell. It needs you guys to shoot at some people. We're having to go into war. You guys are hanging out blowing up hot sauce.
No kidding, man. Man.
No, but like basic, the candy is like fucking, like you could sell like a thing of Skittles for like $20 to somebody. Serious? I don't eat candy, so like.
That sounds like bread. That's worse than prison prices.
Well, that's
Well, it's different though because these people get paid and they can't do nothing with their money.
Right,
So they just
He's like, oh, we
only
got
time people get out money is when they get haircuts, and then they take out $200 for no reason. Haircut $10,
Yeah, right.
and they just taking out cash, and then or
or basic it'd be $5. Or
I
basic,
let basic with like $600.
or basic you have to do like fire guard for a night. And you sell it like you take a fire guard, $200 for an hour to sleep. So some nights they'll wake you up every hour for 8 hours. And you maybe go to BP and you back to sleep.
Now I see why China's talking about working.
My cousin did that. My cousin did he take people's fire guards.
Yeah, I was taking
I never took fire guards. I was taking money off the candy though.
Dude, our military's getting weak, bro.
I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
that's why I got out.
I
I want to go back.
Let me go and sleep for 200.
Bunch of soft people.
Yeah, let me go ahead and
And the
sleep.
PTT
And that's what I'm saying though. They getting paid, and then they're like,
Can't do shit with it.
can't do nothing with that money until you go to AIT
Save
or
it.
whatever.
Save it.
And some of them are kids though.
Right.
So they look at it.
Some of them?
They check their bank account. Yeah. Most of them are kids.
You don't know what carbon copy is, bro.
They go in there. They go to the ATM like, oh, I got $2,500.
Right.
Yeah, I'll give you 200 because they're like, next time I get paid, next time I see this, I'll get paid twice.
Right.
I'm gonna just take out the money for my next 2 haircuts.
No, you were
That's
a
the money.
sergeant, lieutenant. You were
I got
something.
to E5. I was E5 when I did that.
Yeah, my brother-in-law, he got it when he was like 17 or 18, and then he just retired like last November. So
Yeah.
now he works for.
So he's in it for 20 something.
Yeah, he works for the weed dispensaries now in Kansas City. He's like security guard. Yeah, he's so bored, bro. Listen, he doesn't know what to do. I was like, you might as well just go back, because he's like, dude, okay, I'm just a home.
They won't let you back.
He calls my wife. I'm making baked beans and hot dogs
Yeah.
tonight for dinner.
Oh, don't be a contractor.
You
You
sound
tripping.
You
Yeah.
don't sound very soldier-like anymore, man.
You can get good jobs though.
I got 2 buddies. One's retiring from Air Force this month, actually, or next month, actually. 24 years, going to be a private contractor. And the other one in the Air Force is like, I'm hanging on until they force me to leave.
Yeah. When I got out, we had a dude that was at like 36. He had been in Panama. That was a part of the reason he couldn't get out though, because they couldn't find that paperwork. So his retirement, they were missing like 10 years, and he like, nah, I want that 10 years of pay. Like, so he was like, I ain't going until y'all find that paperwork.
Mhm.
Like, we need you to do PT, so I ain't doing nothing. I need you to find he was like old, like, no, because he was, they were like, well, it's still over 20. He's like, no, I want the whole thing. I want all my
That was 40 years to get 100% return. So
They lost that paperwork. He was like,
40?
Yeah, because the new retirement system to get 40.
a lot of these dudes are doing 40.
17,
17,
18.
18. It's like 40 is.
Yeah, but depending on MOS, it's damn near impossible.
You guys got so many letters for stuff, MOS, PT.
Oh, acronyms.
I'm trying to figure it out.
So,
MOS is your job.
Yeah. PT is
Like,
physical fitness.
working out.
PT, like,
Oh, okay, see, I
go training.
yeah.
thought that was break time or something.
No.
Okay.
You don't get, you don't
Look,
break time.
you-
Numbers in the letter and it's your job.
Yeah, you can call, you can say PT, but I hate acronyms so much.
Yeah, me too. I'm
Like,
like,
31 Echo was my job. They don't want you to say fucking regional correctional specialist every fucking time you say your job on paper.
He said one guy got demoted back to E1.
Yeah, it's,
E
so
something.
that's private.
I was like, that's crazy. But I
He
guess
fuzzy.
he was smoking like salvia or some stuff he was smoking.
Yeah.
He came back to the barracks all high and
E fuzzy right there. That's a,
yeah.
All right. Well, it looks like we, Utah had been back. Eric, hopefully you can hear me. Kenneth, you back? Nope, there's Eric.
There's two in here.
Okay. Kenneth, are you with us? Okay. All right. We're moving and grooving. So, after you get the scope, you're going to inform them of the next steps. And in this case, what the next steps look like, and this is so this is how you're going to inform them of the next steps and set the appointment for the contract. Okay, so it's kind of a 2-for-1. You've just got the scope. You're going to let them know what happens after the scope and set the appointment. So these next steps they're 2 steps, but they're done in one thing. Okay, and once again, what is written right here, do not change it. If you think, man, I'm trying to be cool, I'm going to tell you, well, you're trying to be stupid. Don't change this. What I have is absolute perfection. And much like my hair, you do not touch perfection. Okay. So you're going to tell them, hey, blank, whoever blank is, right? I got some options put together for you guys. Now, there's a reason I have the for you or you guys in here. If you're dealing with a husband and a wife, my recommendation would be you send a group message to both of them. Because here's the deal. If you don't, they have no problem communicating back and forth. I found that when you send it to both of them, they'll just communicate right there and you get to see it. I've literally got to see arguments or objections and go, no, we can do this. And I fix it. So I'm telling you, people are lazy. They would rather not have that conversation with you. But if it's right there in front of them, oh, I can just have it right here. Cool. So if you have both of the numbers, I would say send them to both of them and then you address both of them. So I got some options put together for you. In other words, I've already done this. Here's the thing. What is a good time that we can sit down and go over them? I can do this day at this time or this day at this time.
In person, you recommend in person?
100% in person.
Just making sure.
Yeah, if you email out a contract, I will punch you in the jugular.
But like I said, but you need to sit down in person.
Yep, you are going to sit down in person. You do not do contracts over the phone unless they live a state away. And even then, maybe if it's a big enough roof, you fly out. Okay? So, really important. You're not asking them, can we sit down? No, you're telling them, we are going to sit down. We are going to do this. This is how it's going to happen. I can do this time or this time. And you may be thinking, Marcus, I got all the time in the world for a contract. Cool. You still give them 2 options. Okay? Because have you ever said, hey, babe, where do you want to go eat? Yeah, that's what this is. You want to give all those options or you're going to, hey, babe, you want to go here or here? Right? I want to control it. If your option is McDonald's, I don't want you telling me the steakhouse. It's $200 a plate. I want to control where this goes. Same here. Now, what's really cool is they're going to pick one of those times, or they're going to say, those don't work for me. How about this? Again, it's about making it easy. You may think you're cool. Do not change this. If you change this, it will cost you money. I promise. Okay? So next, Cut the check, get the contract, get the money. Okay, please tell me, someone other than Drew, what is this movie?
That's Jeremy Garner.
Ah, thank good. You may not know what a daggum carbon copy is, but you know a good movie. You didn't know Tommy Boy. Still pissed about that one. So it's contract time. It's time to get the money. Okay? You made the appointment. You've done everything. Now, here's what I want to tell you. Most guys get to the contract, and my sales guys now know, even if it's true or not, they at least lie to me. Never hear, yeah, I'm going to sit down with the homeowner and hope that they sign. When you get to contract, the selling is over. Okay? When I get to a contract, I know for a fact they are picking one of my 3 options. And once again, you better be giving 3 options. If you don't give 3 options, give 3 options. It's a matter of which one are they picking. Period. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of what. So if you get to the contract and you're still selling, you have done something else in the process incorrectly. We're going to learn what you've done wrong here later on today, depending on what your results are. But just know, if you're selling on contracting day, you have done wrong. Okay? So here's a little bit of an example of what a contract looks like. Now, I thought I blacked some things out. Apparently, they didn't get blacked out. They haven't showed up on this TV like they've showed up here before. So this is just an example. Once again, we have carbon copy versions for my one guy that knows what it is. And we have digital versions. You can do it either or. Again, know your audience. Use whatever works for you. This is not something you have to have all the blanks filled out. You just have to have the ones that matter. Okay. And if you notice, when you get options, you do things like this: upgrades. The day I stopped negotiating at the contracting table, the day that I started getting not only not having to discount, the day I started getting extra was the day I started presenting options. You present options, I will guarantee you'll start closing more upgrades. I went from constantly calling up, hey man, what kind of discount can I give? To literally almost 90% of my jobs had an upgrade just by giving options. Okay? Make sense? So that way you kind of all get an idea what it looks like. So,
Are there any discounts, military, anything like that?
no. Nope. So not on an insurance job. Because if you give discounts on an insurance job, so that's a good question. So we'll get into this. And I want everybody to listen to me absolute crystal clear. Utah, be listening crystal clear. If you can't hear me, you better tell me. Okay? When it comes to discounting, the only thing that you would be giving discounts on, typically speaking, like back in the day, would be eat the deductible. That doesn't exist. Okay? If you are doing this, you notice there's no discount section on our contract. That is called insurance fraud. If you do an insurance deal and you change the price from their estimate that they sent you, there is in the insurance company. If the insurance company sends you an estimate, that is the price you do it for, point blank, period, end of story. Now, if you charge extra, okay, not a problem. Extra for things. You're not charging extra for the roof itself, extra for things that the roof currently doesn't have, okay? Upgrades. There is no discounts. If you do, it is insurance fraud, point blank, end of story. You, us, and the homeowner are all in trouble. Now, what can we do as an alternative? So let's say for whatever reason, this insurance company is just paying gobs of money, or you got that guy who just is a Mr. Wheeler and Dealer, no matter what, hey, I got all this. Cool. Here's what I can do. We're going to treat this like an insurance job, and I'll handle all the insurance paperwork. So what that means is when you and I are done filling out this contract today, all the rigmarole that has to happen, and there's a lot of has to happen. I got to send them what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, pictures of when I did. Like, there's all sorts of things we have to do to get that second check. I will do that. But I have to do it at the price that they have listed. Period. Cannot negotiate on that. Now, if you're saying, you know what, Marcus, I'm a pretty savvy guy. I will handle every piece of insurance paperwork. I will handle whatever money they do or don't give me. I just want a cash job from you. Cool. That I will give you. But do understand, I will never even speak of or to your insurance company again, period. That I can do. And when the day comes, they go, hey, I didn't get that second check from insurance. Don't tell you, bro. Don't know what to tell you. So we do offer that. I got some of our guys, that's about the only way they close one, and they're constantly fighting battles. I've offered that to homeowners and have virtually never done a cash job. I just do the insurance job. Because if you remember, this is only 2 pages of a 40-page deal. That's weird. That's confusing. They're not just going to give you all this. Like, insurance don't want to just give up that money. There's processes. So these little gray areas here that you see, they have to send in paperwork for that. They have to send in pictures that it's done. So trust me, if a homeowner tries to go the insurance process themselves, they are most likely not going to get all the money they're supposed to get. Now, if they want to try it, cool. You just need to be very, very clear to them. There's 2 ways of going about this, period. And they may think, haha, you're $5,000 cheaper than insurance. Yeah, but there's going to be $5,000 you're not going to get from insurance now. So is it really cheaper? So, because there's only one reason they want to discount. They want to save money, right? You just don't have that option on here. Like, I don't get to go to the hospital and be like, hey, man, you want to charge them more for the surgery and help me out on my copay? No, like, your copay is your copay, homie. Like, you paying what you're paying. Suck it up and deal with it. So, what comes after the contract? You guys are getting good. Hopefully you knew. Inform them of what the next step is. Now, how many of you think you already know what the next step is? That is what you'll get close to doing next. Yeah, so you're fixing to leave the homeowners. You just signed the contract. You just took the check. What do you think comes next? Nope. Good guess. It's getting there, but no. Utah Jazz, how about it? What comes after? You haven't left the house yet. You just signed the paperwork. You just took their deposit check. What happens next? Ha ha! My man Cody. You saw it a minute ago, didn't you? Yeah, no, you cheated. It's fine. Listen, if you say my head's that big, my head's that. I mean, I got a big head, but dadgum, you say my head's that big, I'm personally offended. If I want to get treated like this, I'll go home. You understand? So the job submittal. So you guys are extremely fortunate in the sense of most roofing companies that pay the commission that you guys get paid, you have to do what's called cradle to grave, meaning you have to get it approved, you have to get it submitted, you got to order products, you got to schedule crews, you got to do all of the things. With us, all you got to do is sell. So once you've got the contract signed and you've got a check, all you got to do is do a submittal to the office, which there's videos on that and the road to 6 figures, which hopefully you guys have seen. Okay. When you submit the job, you're going to handle all the ordering and scheduling of the job, being there. Like, we got all the things handled for you. Okay. Now, is your job done from this point? I mean, it could be, unless you want to continue to get new business. So honestly, after this point here, if you're weak, you can wash your hands of it.
Go for cuddle time, man.
What's that?
Go for cuddle time.
Yeah, right. So me personally, I did not stop here by any means. What I'm going to show you guys is what I did. And again, what I did at the end of my selling days, I was getting 2 to 3 referrals a day. Okay. So trust me, referrals are awesome. That's where you make a lot of money. And there's nothing like a phone just ringing with people wanting stuff. I'm sold in, I think, 9 or 10 months now. And I got two voicemails this morning before this training even started about customers wanting to sign contracts. So, like, I don't stop here. So, nonetheless, job submittal. What's that?
You don't want to pass those off before I go home.
Nope. I ain't got none in Kansas yet. But no, I do pass them off. So, just depending on where it is. So, like, we passed one off to the Dallas guy last week. So what you're telling your homeowner is you're not just going to say, hey, the next step in the process is a job submittal. So what you tell your homeowner is what happens from here is we have to submit everything to insurance. Okay. So what that means is when you look at all these things, we have to tell them. So these are basically, when it comes to an estimate system, these are codes and things like that that are in what's called an Xactimate system. An Xactimate system is a third-party system that isn't ours, that isn't the insurance company. It's kind of like, this is what you should have for a charge. It's like NADA, right? Kelly Blue Book, okay, for roofing or for anything home related. So we have to make sure that when they wrote tear off, they did the right code for your neighborhood or whatever. So if they did something wrong here and we don't catch it, we are the ones that have to pay for it. Well, we're not going to do that, right? So we're going to go through, our insurance guy is going to make sure that everything is done the way that it's supposed to. Once we have, we're going to submit our estimate to the insurance company, and we're going to tell the insurance company, hey, this is what I'm going to do to Mr. Such and Such's house. We're going to use this product, this, we're going to do all the things. Like here's our contract. We tell them everything, right? And then we tell them, when we do this, are you going to send this secondary check? And then we wait. And until insurance gives us that confirmation, we don't do anything else. So this next step could look like, we're going to have this done in less than 24 hours. When you submit, the only thing that takes the job submittal a long time is when I have a salesperson that doesn't get the job submittal done. Okay. Our office, we getting paid. Okay. We're getting this done within 24 hours. Point blank, period, in story. You submit the job 24 hours later, we've got everything sent off to insurance company. Okay. Now, just like the other part, this could take 3 weeks. So your homeowner needs to know, we waiting on them. Now, why do we wait on them? Why do we wait to get a confirmation from the insurance company? Because if they got to pay at the end, who has to pay? Nope.
No, the customer.
Homeowner. So I'll give you an example. This actually happened to my neighbor. So a handful of years ago, we had a storm. The storm actually hit my neighborhood. So I got to walk to work. It's pretty cool. So, but so on my neighbor, excuse me, you saw it was something of this nature, like, hey, here's your secondary check when it happens, but it was during a busy time, right? So what happened is they had this adjuster in the beginning. 2 weeks later, they had this adjuster. So it changed hand 5 times. So we're done. We get everything done. We submit it to the insurance company. They get their last check. And rather than their last check be, and it wasn't this amount, but rather than last check being $4,500, it was only $2,000. So my neighbor called me, Michael. He's like, "Hey, Marcus, I guess I'm gonna have to owe you more money." I was like, "Hey, what are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, the insurance company, that second check was supposed to be this." He said, "It's like $2,000 short." I was like, "Nope, give me a second. I'm gonna handle this. I'll call you back." So we got along with insurance. When we got that confirmation from the insurance, we sent it back to them. We said, "Hey, you guys said that if we did this, that, and the other, and we did X, Y, Z, that they would get this amount of money. So those are all the things we did. We submitted all that to you. Why aren't you?" So what had happened was, in all of the relaying through all the different adjusters, somehow the scope in the middle got tossed and they got this. So it's all automated, right? If we didn't have that, the homeowner would have been out $2,000. If we didn't wait for our confirmation. Okay. So that's why it is very important for you to let them know what happens next. And what happens next is that job submittal process. So like, you're not telling them what you're doing specific. You're telling them what we are doing. Okay. And what we are doing is we're going to be communicating with the insurance company. We're going to give them all of the answers so that you get that second check in its full. Once they give us the go ahead, we're going to start ordering product. We'll get you moving and grooving. Because you're going to have a homeowner ask you, they're going to say, "Hey, how long until my roof gets," because they're giving you money now, right? I mean, they're handing you a check. They want to know when the roof's getting built. So you're going to let them know, "Well, I'm ready to go next week. But you probably want me to make sure you're going to get all your money, right? So I'm kind of waiting on them." So with that being the case, what happens next? That's right. Follow up, follow up, follow up. Because here's what you need to think of. You need to put yourself in the homeowner's shoes. They have given you money and you stop talking to them. Now, our office is going to talk to them till they're blue in the face. They're going to hear from everybody at our office. They're going to have our customer welcoming team. They're going to have our production team. They're going to receive all sorts of phone calls. So what I would do is I would let my homeowner know. So after we do that, you're going to start getting all sorts of phone calls from my team. So when you see a Denver number, or it's like we got offices everywhere, like all of our office people are remote, right? So you're going to see phone numbers from different area codes. Guess what? We're in 6 states. Not a big deal. Just answer it or wait for the voicemail and respond to the voicemail. But they're going to be letting you know this is what we're doing. Like you're going to get communicated with, so you don't feel like you just gave your check to a total stranger. I do work for an actual company, because at this point, like, it's not like they've walked into First Priority retail establishment. Like, you are all they know, right? So you want to let them know what's coming, what's happening next. And then me personally, I'm still going to keep doing my follow-up with them. I'm going to talk to them every 48 hours. And even if I can't tell you how many times I've just gone, hey, just to let you know, we're still in the same spot, waiting to hear back from the insurance. 2 days later, hey, just to let you know, we're still in the same spot, waiting to hear back from insurance. But at least at that point, they know it's not you, right? They're like, okay, Drew's clearly communicating with me every 2 days. I would imagine this delay of time is not on him. Make sense? So again, and that process looks just like pretty much all the others. It's every 48 hours. And your follow-up text messages, they're short and sweet. Okay? Don't send no paragraph. Hey, just to let you know, still waiting to hear. That's it. Okay? Next one, the day of the build. This is the greatest day ever. This day is amazing because this means they are getting all the promises you made to them. This is a phenomenal thing. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you guys the process of what happens on the build day. And then I'm also going to let you know what I believe you should be doing on the build day. Okay? Understand the processes are going to happen with or without you. If you want my recommendation on how to continue to get referrals and keep making money, get your ears up. Okay? So I would say when we show up to the build day, you're going to need to let them know a very important thing. Hey, just to let you know, our crew starts when the sun comes up. So when August comes around, sun's coming up about 5:30. So at 5:30 in the morning, if your alarm ain't off, let me tell you right now, you're going to have an alarm in the form of banging and chain. Like, you're going to hear some noise. Now, why would you want to be very specific and make sure somebody knows that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so no one told me that before I sold my first job. And I got a message from my homeowner that I slept through. That was like, what is going on? You did not tell me. So let them know we're going to be getting there early. Okay? That's just the way it is. And that's how everybody does it. There's not another company that does it any other way. It's just you don't know that that's how early they get there until it's happened to you. So make sure to let them know what is going to be happening. Okay? And then me personally, I'm going to show up on build day one time. And I'm going to show up in the very middle of the build, meaning I know that all the tear off is done. Now, you may be saying, why are you waiting till the tear off is done? Because at that point, they're going to be aware of any issues that they have, they being the crew. If they need decking or they're missing this, or like, you're going to know of anything so that when you come by, if you can just be a super cool homie for your build crew, that you can stop and get it for them. You can stop at your ABC like we're at right now, and you can pick it up for them. Okay? Now, in the same hand, you're going to call your build crew and say, hey, I'm on my way out. Is there anything you need? And if they tell you no, then when they call you later on in the day, say, hey, I need something. Cool. Go get it. Gave you my one shot, right? So, but I'm definitely going out to the build at least one time. And the other part of going after it's on tear off is, what do you think? Nope. We're going to get there. But nope. When you're checking on the build, why is it good to check on the build at tear off? And this is kind of thinking negatively, but unfortunately it is what it is.
Make sure the crew isn't dirty and all all types of stuff, leaving stuff on the ground, that kind of stuff.
There you go. And there's one more thing about the crew. Utah Jazz, what do you got? So you're going to go out to make sure and check on your crew. You're going to make sure that they are keeping clean, that they're doing. Now, is there going to be a mess? Oh, 100% there's going to be a mess. But they need to at least try to be adhering to it. But then also, remember I told you most roofing companies don't do all the things that we do? If you let your crew get away with it, they're going to do it too. Now, I mean, like it or not, so we got a crew, and every state has a couple, because you have to have a couple different crews, especially now legally. It was this crew that I've never had an issue with. They are freaking studs. They built 1 million houses from me. I literally never had a problem with them. And I was just busy. I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to go out there to that day. They didn't remove all the layers on one side. They will get away with whatever you allow them to get away with. And that means you're the guy who's made all the promises. So at the end of the day, I mean, they know it's not your fault, but it is your fault because you didn't make sure that the promises you made are being held true. Okay? Or not only they didn't tear off, maybe they didn't put ice and water in all the places they're supposed to. Maybe the area you're in, you have to have it along all the eaves and rakes as well, and they didn't do it. Like, at this point, so like I said, you could technically walk away and the company we make sure to handle all these things for you, but at the end of the day, you're the one that made the promises. Okay?
If you're there when it's tore off, are you supposed to make sure everything is on there? You're supposed to stay through the whole time it's built?
No, you're only going to be there for 15 minutes. And how you know? Trust me, if it's tore off and you're there for 15 minutes, there's going to be a lot of progress in that 15 minutes. Like, those boys don't move slow. I'll tell you right now. They don't move slow. And they'll make you work. So quick deal. Here's what you need to know about builds. Those guys are mountain goats, and they get around on a roof way better than you can. So when you get up there and you are there on build day and it's tore down to the bare decking, that is basically an ice skating rink. So walk accordingly. And if you slip and fall in front of them, you're going to get laughed at. Ask me how I know. And most of them, what's that?
Have you fell off a roof before?
Not all the way off.
Almost.
I've gone down to hanging on gutters sometimes, more than once. I'm definitely fallen for sure.
Have you? When you did that, did you damage the gutters, or how'd you go about that?
Luckily, gutters were getting done. Yeah, so yes, but thankfully they were getting done the next day, so we got lucky. Now there has been times where guys have damaged gutters, and you get to buy a gutter. Like, so it is. I mean, we're gonna try. I mean, I was like, so one of it was one of the crew members that built it. I called the homeowner, like, hey, we built it, or we damaged this. I'm like, clearly we're replacing it, but just want to let you know, we did this. Like, it is what it is. It's an accident, you know. But then the other deal, and this happened a little while back, and most of them don't speak English. By most of them, I mean none of them, except for the crew chief. I went out to a job, and there was like the shingles laying like right next to the ladder, and one of the guys looked like he was going to come down. I was like, oh crap, you know. So I got out of his way, and he's like, oh no. He's like, can you hand me that shingle right there? So I'll throw in a bundle, which by the way, a bundle weighs 80 pounds. Okay. So I throw it on. I go walk up the ladder, and I think like I'm gonna do like a hand two kind of thing, right? And he goes, "You gonna keep going?" I'm like, "Dadgummit!" Like, I mean, like you got to now, right? Because it's like, they're gonna judge me if I don't. So now I'm like, it was a fairly steep one too, and I'm like going, okay. And I'm looking at the ropes over there, and I'm like, oh, you sure you don't want this, man? Like, yeah. So just be cautious. Like you better look supervisorial, or they're gonna put you to work, and you're gonna look stupid. Well, at least I do anyway. So yeah. So now The next and the coolest part about a build and why you go out there, it is literally ringing to all the neighbors, get you 1-2. Everybody wants to keep up with the Joneses.
Get your son.
If on a build day, unless you were just raking in the money all over the place, you better have nothing on your schedule than just going around that build knocking doors. That is like, I mean, I'll tell you right now, I'll go knock your build. Like I've gone out and I've seen a build happening that wasn't even our company. No, I'm not telling other people, hey, I'm building that roof. I'm not lying to them, but I'm like, hey, you see the roof going on? You want to get yours checked out? Like it's like they can't go, oh, we don't need it. They did, and they're, your neighbor. Right? So, or sometimes it's a super easy in. Like if it's the neighbor, I'll use this line all the time. I'll be like, hey, so I'm the guy causing all the noise next door. I just want to make sure, like sometimes wind blows and stuff like that and gets in the backyard, things like that. So here's my info. I want you to call me directly, like this, like my cell phone. Don't holler at the guys. You call me. I will literally come over here myself and get that trash for you. Okay? Make sense? So have you had your roof like that lately, by the way?
I think it's been like 10 years since I got replaced.
There you go. Now you're off and running. And it is genuine. And if they tell you no, like I've got that phone call and I had to go climb in someone's tree. It was a windy day. I literally watched this bag go out of the dumpster and just like go 5 houses down and just get stuck in this tree. And I'm like, dang it. So
is there like a standard like time frame on a roof? Like how long a roof lasts typically?
Oh, good question. So excuse me. So our entry level roofs, they call it a 35-year roof. Okay. A 3-tab is 25 years. Most architecturals are going to be 35-year roofs. Okay. Now, let's be realistic with each other, ourselves, and I absolutely tell my homeowners this as well. Especially here where it gets super hot and we have super steep roofs and venting is bad. A 35-year roof, come year 20, you better have that thing replaced. Like, I'm just telling you right now. And manufacturers only cover like full replacement warranty for the first 10 years. After that, it gets prorated, and there's a reason for that. Like, it's just wear and tear, man. Yeah. So they say 35 years, but it ain't 35 years. You think like hey, your warranty is good for 60,000 miles. Like they know it's 65. Like they know that's how long it's. That is not how a roof goes. That is not how a roof goes.
Are we doing any other type of applications or just shingles?
Yes. Shingles are going to be 98% of what you do. I've done some tile jobs. I've done some metal jobs. I mean, if it's a roof, we do it. I don't care how it gets done. If it's a roof, we do it.
We're just going to go by what we see up there. So if it's already tile or clay like that, then we'll.
Or if they're wanting to upgrade. Some of the metal roofs I've done, we tore off an asphalt roof and they just want to put up a metal roof. And then I've had metal roofs that we tore off and went to an asphalt roof. So, but for the most part, almost everything you do is going to be shingle to shingle for the most part. So we do other stuff. And when you get that, you kind of got to learn it as you go type deal. I wouldn't, I don't necessarily dig into any training on it because it's just so few and far between. I do have some trainings in the Mighty app on it, but it's not something I'm really going to talk about. Make sense? So on build day, you definitely need to be talking to some neighbors, point blank, period, in the story. And then the other thing, like it's super cool. Your crew loves to see you on the neighbor's house. They're like, cool, he's keeping us employed. Like, as much as they want to ride you, they know if you don't sell it, they don't get the work. Like, it just is what it is, right? So they like to see you out there working. Okay. Next. And again, our production team's going to do this for you, but I've never had someone do it for me. I always did my own jobs, and that's a walkthrough. Okay. So you're going to go out during the day of, you're going to talk to homeowners, et cetera, right? But you're going to do a walkthrough at the end. And this is going to be one of those things. Do not avoid the awkward conversation. because you want to walk away from this thing knowing they're satisfied. Because one, you want them happy. Two, if they truly are satisfied, you're going to get referrals. And then three, when you got to go get that last check, you're not going to have problems. You don't want to go to get that last check and then be like, I wanted to tell you about this, but I'm not really happy with the way this looks. And in the same hand, if you don't do a walkthrough, you know what's going to happen? Well, now the thing that they've never looked at, they're always going to look at till they're blue in the face, and you'll get calls for weeks, months, a year on end. Versus if you just take them out and you say, hey, Cody, we're going to check this roof out. I want to walk around with you. And the best thing you can do is actually find something. So something that I used to do all the time is like, hey, so right up there, you see a little piece of trash dangling. That they should have caught that, but they didn't. So here in a second, I'm going to get up there and I'm going to pull that off. I didn't see anything else because I did a walk around before I brought you out here. Is there anything you guys saw? You want to, and you take them around. You force them to look at it. Okay. You want to, and when you get there, you do need to look at it first yourself. And the way I always do it is I always come knock on the door. Hey, Isaiah, just let you know. So here we are. We're done. I'm going to take a quick tool around, see if there's anything I see, anything that I notice, make sure everything's all good. And then I'm going to grab you and you're going to come out here and do it with me. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, the other thing on the walkthrough, do you do the walkthrough immediately? Do you do it a week later? When do you think you do the walkthrough? Okay.
I'm with that.
Okay. Utah Jazz, what do you think? When do you do the walkthrough? Immediately after, a week after? What do you do? Cool. And you guys are all wrong.
Oh, man.
Okay. So here's exactly how that needs to look. Hey, and this is part of the walkthrough, and also there's just kind of like everything else, you're going to tell them what happens next, right? So they're going to finish today. I'm going to come by in the next day or two. I want to give it a couple days. The reason I want to give it a couple days, if something's going to go wrong, it's going to happen in the first couple of days. Secondly, I want you guys walking around and I want you guys looking. I want you guys to make a punch list. If there's things that you see, just write it down. I mean, obviously, if you have a leak, you need to call me immediately. But if you just see, hey, there's etc. trash, or you see like, write it down. And then when I get here, we're going to go over all those things. So when you do it this way, it's doing a lot of things, right? It's building, the homeowner is going to continue to have confidence in you because you're like, hey, there's nothing that's going to happen that's an emergency. Like if I need to look at it right now, that means like, hey, there could be an emergency. We could have screwed this up. Like we didn't screw nothing up. And you're going to find things, Mr. Homeowner. I'm encouraging you to find things. And when you do, I want you to write it down. And then lastly, what is going to happen, those shingles are going to lay down a little differently too. So if it's the winter time, those shingles are going to take a couple weeks to lay down. If it's the summertime, it's going to take a couple days. So by delaying it, you're continuing to give a piece of calm. And also, you're not going to do it right then and there in that moment because they're going to be on the job site till dark. And you probably don't want to be doing a walkthrough at 9 o'clock at night. You'd probably rather be with your family, right? So it does so many things. It does so many things. That's why you always do it a couple days later. And if it's getting built on a Friday, hey, I'll come back out on Tuesday. You don't want to go out on a Monday. People have bad days on Mondays. Make sense? You all follow me? Okay. And then lastly, get paid. Get paid. Trust me, the office has done everything with the insurance company. We have invoiced the insurance. Trust me, we've done all the things. They are getting that money from the insurance. You ain't got to worry about it. You ain't got to worry about it. We know they got their check. That's what I'm talking about. Yep. You don't have to worry about insurance sending it. You're going to collect it. Yes. So you have to worry about it from it, but you don't have to worry if that check's coming or not. You know that check's coming.
The only one you have to worry about the first one.
What's that?
The The 1 year they got worried about the first one.
Right. Yep. So here is an overview of the process. These are all the steps. And look how many times you got follow-up in there and inform them of next, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You need to know this thing forward, backwards, sideways, and all those directions because of all the work you're going to have to do throughout the process. Okay? So you need to make sure you're informing them of the next steps, which means you got to know what the next step is. And when you're doing a follow-up, you have to know what the next step is to know what proper form of follow-up to take. Does that make sense? Okay. All good? Utah Jazz, you good? Okay. All right. Well, we already did that because of the internet malfunction. So this is something you guys, and we're not going to get through all of this part before lunch by any stretch of the imagination, but tracking and pipeline. You guys are going to hear this term a lot, and there's reasons for that. Your pipeline is your business. And tracking your pipeline is important. So like, for example, for those of us that played a good sport, like football, because we're real athletes, get strong. You shut it, Josh. So there's 4 quarters in a game, right? So if it's the first quarter and you're down by a touchdown, do you play differently than if it's the 4th quarter, 2 minutes left in the game, and you're down by a touchdown? Absolutely, you play differently, right? So if you're not tracking your business, your money, probably not going to make much of it. So, and I have countless guys, we talk about goal setting and tracking, that don't do this. Do you think anybody that's in our top 10% doesn't do this? There's nobody in my top 10 that I can't call and say how many this, how many like, and they don't know every single number. My guys that are not, they can't answer a single one of them. Okay? You need to know where your holes are. You need to know what you got coming so you can adjust accordingly. And when we were talking about doing the math on our goals yesterday, you guys remember talking about that? When I said maybe you got the equation wrong. If you don't track your pipeline, you don't know what you got wrong or what you need to fix. Can't measure. So do you guys remember how we got to the math of 50 doors? You know, so if you got 3 authorizations, you should get 3 contracts, right? So you have that outline. It helps you know where you need to get better. Because in the beginning, your goals and your tracking, like it's going to be like a 90-day wave trying to figure it out, like what works for you, right? And it all depends. Like if you're a confidence building neighborhood is a neighborhood that is a retired community and they're all home and they want to be knocked at lunchtime, well, that's different than a guy who they found a young gun neighborhood and nobody gets home till after 6 o'clock. Like it's all changeable. Okay. And this next little bit, I'm going to be going through and teaching you guys how to make those adjustments. Because for me, I'm an extremely regimented person. I'm a very specific person. And man, I went from, again, 20 years of doing one thing. Like when I went into work, there wasn't an answer I didn't have. There wasn't nothing, like it was all easy. I had my routine. I had my schedule. I had everything. And then I come into this. It took me probably 8-9 months before I'm like, okay, because like you can't just make a schedule because then you get an adjuster appointment or you think you're going to schedule Monday through Friday. You don't even know what you sold on Monday to change what's going to happen on Friday. Like you got to be able to go with the ebb and flows of it. I didn't like that. I'll be honest with you. My OCDs were not enjoyable in those first little bit. I was like, no, I need specific things. This adjuster didn't call me at the time that I want him to call me. Like it was a go through. So you're going to have to go through it. So we need to talk about what you need to track. So you guys just saw the process, right? A lot of steps to the process. I don't even know how many steps are in that thing. I don't know, like 18, 20, right? So you don't have to track 18 to 20 things. You have to track your inspections, your authorizations, your scopes, and your contracts. Now, again, how you track those things is up to you. If you want to track them daily, you want to track them monthly, whatever the case may be. Okay? So why do you think you want to track how many inspections you have?
You know who you need to follow up with and that kind of stuff. Make sure you got an idea of how many possible sales you could have coming in, that kind of stuff.
Right? So what are all the things how could you have inspections and the inspections and authorizations be a different number?
Because they can inspect something and
Not get authorized.
You could expect something, you could expect a roof that doesn't need.
There you go. There you go. So on your inspections, so there's even a couple different categories of that, right? Like it'd be like for example, if you've done 10 inspections and you got 1 authorization, do you have a problem? Absolutely you do. Either you're not finding stuff, you're not closing stuff, like what's the deal, right? So if out of those 10, you tried to close 8 and you only got 1, you got a closing problem, right? You got to figure out where your miss is. Am I doing piss poor inspections? Am I not building rapport with the homeowners? Does my pitch suck? Like, where am I bad?
So as it relates to that, how long before a new neighborhood, like say a new subdivision is built, how long before you would try to go there? Right?
Phenomenal question. That's exactly where I was about to get next. So, So step number 1 is obviously going to be like if you're weak at closing and you can't close them. Okay. Now let's say another one. You got 10 inspections. You only got 1 authorization because 9 of the houses didn't need any roofs. Okay. Well, you should have figured it out by number 3 that you need a different area. Okay. So my rule is 3 in one neighborhood. If you get on 3 roofs in one neighborhood and there's no damage or they're all brand new or whatever the case may be, you can move on from that neighborhood. You don't get to look at one roof and say, no damage, this neighborhood's a waste. No, that's one freaking roof, man. Because I have seen it where literally I've stood on a roof that is totaled and then I get on the neighbor's roof and it's fine. Like that does happen, okay? But as far as how long a roof lasts, generally speaking, if I'm like going for a neighborhood, I want those roofs to at least be 10 years old. Unless like I know it's a heavy storm neighborhood. Like you go 2 inches or bigger, I don't care, those roofs are smoked. Like if you got new roofs and they only got 1 inch hail, the majority of those are probably okay. So, and that's, excuse me, sorry. That's a phenomenal question to your point. Like, how do you know when you need to walk away? 3 roofs in one neighborhood. Okay. 2 roofs, you better go find a 3rd. If you get on a 4th one, now that's your own problem. Okay. So, and if you got on the 3 and they're all good, well, it's like, well, did you do any research? Were you in a new neighborhood to start with? Were you in an undamaged area? Like, again, that's why we talked about yesterday. You should kind of know where to go already. But again, it's going to take 21 to get 7. So it's going to be those neighborhoods. But if you're not tracking it, you don't know how to find that. Okay. So next is your authorizations, right? So how many authorizations do you have that you've never got an adjuster appointment? Or how many have you had the adjuster appointment? You still haven't had the scope? Like, you got to know these things, right? And kind of to your point that you'd asked me earlier, this is how I followed up with my pipeline and then also my follow-up. I had an accordion file, and rather, because again, at the time, we didn't have everything digital. And then when we started going digital, I would just print it. Say if it's Tuesday, I'm like, okay, here's Tuesday's file. I follow up with everybody and, whatever step of the process they are in, and then it goes to Thursday. So when Thursday comes, I pull it out, cool as everybody. All right, that's going to go to Monday. And it just goes into that rotation. Okay. So when I say every 48 hours, weekend doesn't count, but it does count against you, right? So like if you follow up with somebody on Friday, you're going to follow up with them again on Monday, right? So Monday's a big follow-up day, clearly. So that's how I personally do it. Now, if you just want to put a reminder on your phone, whatever, don't know, don't care, just that's it for me. Like I like checklists. I like to be able to go through things, right? So when I do that, I'm going through my follow-ups and I'm also going through my pipeline. Okay. So when I'm going through every homeowner that I got, I'm doing it daily. I know where my pipeline's at, right? I know, okay, this guy hasn't wrote me back in 2 days or in 2 weeks. And again, it helps you make your, okay. And it's because I did that I found out all the tricks that I've been giving you guys this entire day. Does that make sense? So after your authorizations is your scopes. Now, the scope section really shouldn't be hanging out too long, right? Because you should get a scope and then immediately go to contract. But nonetheless, again, it's something you want to track. Like, are you getting scopes and you're just not getting people close, right? Does that make sense? So now what you need to ask yourself at the end of the pipeline, very simple. If everything's good, you're on goal, cool. Keep doing what you're doing. If something is not good, you're low in any one category, you're weak, do math. And we're going to go over here. We're going to talk about how to do the math, right? So, but the reason I put this part first, as men, we are real quick and easy to figure out things we're doing wrong. We're really bad about acknowledging and continuing things we do right. So there's a famous saying in the business world that goes, yeah, I was doing this one thing and it was working really good and it made me super successful, so I stopped. And you do that because like when it becomes super successful, you just think it's built in because of the actions that you are taking. So don't ever stop the actions that are successful, but know what they are so you can increase them, right? So like if you have a killer week and you didn't have a single bad day, diagnose the piss out of that week and figure out how to have more of them, right? Some guys will just take that and you may celebrate like, baby, we going out this weekend. Like, figure it out so you can go out every weekend. So like something that I did to celebrate, any day that I got 2 contracts in a day, I'd bring my wife home Andy's. It's an ice cream place she loves, right? And it got to the point where she would say, hey, did you sell 2 contracts today? Not because she wanted me to sell contracts, because she wanted her ice cream, right? And I'm telling you right now, if I ever went 2 days without getting it, I was in trouble. Say that right now. Say that right. She's like, is there a reason I haven't got any? I haven't sold 2. Huh. Is there a reason you haven't sold 2? Like, well, girl, hold you accountable, man. So, all right. So we're going to talk about how to do the math. I'm going to give you kind of some standards that you hopefully keep written down or keep in your brain, or you just have a good sense of where industry standards are, so that when you're going through your pipeline, you know what you should have, okay? So let's say your inspections are low. Now, mind you, I would say you track this on a monthly basis, right? Because our numbers are based off a monthly. You know, when you get your custom hats, so like we have, I think 5 or 6 guys that qualify for that this month throughout the company. So you're going to want to know how many inspections you have for that month. Okay. You know, I wouldn't say you track this on a yearly basis, right? I would say you want to know how many you have for that month. Okay. Because it's, you know, typically going to be in a 30-day revolving account. So if you're low on inspections, this one's pretty easy. If you're low on inspections, you're not knocking. Like point blank, period, end of story. If the only time you're going to do an inspection is when the office gives you a lead, like you're always waiting around. And as new guys, the way we hand out leads, by the way, is completely unfiltered. We are no respecter of persons. Okay. You're going to get them the first 30 days. After that, you have to qualify. The qualifying is you first have to be in the top 50% in your state. After that, you have to maintain a 25% close rate. Period. If you don't do those things, you don't get leads. So, and if you're on the lower end of that 50%, like if I have a guy who closes 80% of the deals and you only close 30, and I got 2 to give out, who do you think's getting 2? He's getting 2, you only getting 1, right? So, if your inspections are low, you're not knocking doors, point blank, period, end of story. So, how it comes to knocking doors. So let's say, all right, Marcus, I'm out there knocking doors. I'm knocking 50 doors a day. I just don't have any inspections. I'm going to say you're a liar or you are literally walking around with duct tape on your mouth. It's one of those two things. 100%. Okay. But let's say we're going to dive into it and you want some help. I got no problem helping you. These are the things you're going to need to know. So you guys are going to have a thing called street sheets, which you'll be seeing. We're going to be going over tomorrow. Those street sheets have all the things you need to know. If you're not filling them out, then the rest of this section is guesswork. Okay? We can't take actions or make actual financial steps off of your feelings. Because guess what? Your feelings when you're out door knocking are some daggum liars. Telling you right now, your feelings will lie to you. So if you're knocking 50 doors, you should get 10 conversations. Okay, so that's step number 1. What do I mean by a conversation?
Back and forth with somebody about their roof, about something other than their roof, anything like you said.
Okay, what would be an example of not conversation?
Hi.
Close the door. Say I'm not interested.
Close the door. Well, a lot of them are going to say they're not interested, but if they say not interested and slam the door like you don't even get to speak, that doesn't count. If you're talking to someone and they don't own the home, that doesn't count. As if they're a renter, the kid, they're their dog, whatever. Okay. But if you say, hi, I'm Marcus. I'm a first priority. Have you seen why I'm in the area? No, I sure haven't. Cool. What I'm here is doing roof inspections. No, thank you. Yeah, that's on you. Like, they didn't shut the door on you right away. They may have shut it on you fairly soon, but they at least gave you the opportunity not to suck. That's a conversation. Okay. So if you're not having 10 conversations, you're knocking at the wrong time. So if you show me a sheet and you legitimately knocked 50 doors and you got all the addresses and no one answered the door, okay, why are you knocking at 8 o'clock in the morning? Like, that's not going to go well, right? So, by the way, your prime knocking hours, the first window in the day is 11 to 1 o'clock. Now, it's the second best window, but it is the first available window, is 11 to 1 o'clock. And this goes to, you have to understand what your neighborhoods are, okay? The second and yet more potent time frame is 4:30 to 7:30/8, depending on the time of year. Generally speaking, after 8 o'clock, even if it is daylight outside, I don't think it's going to go as well. Just me. 4:30 to 8. So in other words, if you tell me, like, if you go, hey, yeah. So, like, I actually had this conversation, I think 2 times this guy's last week. Yeah, man, I went and knocked 50 doors. No one's home. What time are you going? 2 to 3. Cool. So you literally went like at the worst time you possibly could. So you went at a time where if anybody was home, they were out picking up kids from school, or that was when they go to Target, or like understand human freaking nature, man. Like, you're a salesperson. Guess what you are? A psychologist. Like, a good salesperson just understands humans. Okay. So that's why those are good windows. Now, am I going to tell you if something's going on and the only time you got is from 2 to 3 o'clock not to do it? Absolutely, you freaking go do it. Like, again, towards the end of it, when I was getting really good, dude, I can say I knocked at the oddest times. Like, do it when you can. But if you have an open opportunity, like, so for you guys, I'm going to every single day, I'm going out to 11 to 1, then again at 4:30 to 8, which I'm going to show you guys the schedule here in a little bit. And when I started, I literally left the house at 10 and I got home when it was dark. I mean, I knocked, but that takes some fortitude that most people just don't do. So I'm aware that that's a little weird. So second, or third, whatever freaking number this is. If you're having a lot of conversations, but you're getting all no's,
Before you know,
Uh-huh.
what from just outside street appearance, what do you look for to even think that it's a house to knock at? You get what I'm trying to say? Like, is there anything that you recognize?
oh, like signs of life?
Right.
Yeah. So, like, well, I don't know about.
How about with the roof? Like what makes you think I should knock at this door without?
Mm.
Are you just knocking at every door, or are you looking for?
You're knocking at every door. You do not get to prejudge roofs. So if you go to so in the beginning, we're going to send you guys the neighborhoods to go to. Okay, I'm going to tell you where to go, hit you up on all the spots, right? Get up and going, you'll understand those things. And it's kind of like we talked about yesterday. You need to have, your confidence building neighborhood, your 3-tab neighborhood. So like you'll understand what those are. Or when you're driving around, yeah, if you see damaged roofs, like you see a roof, you see roofs that have a whole lot of fiberglass showing. Obviously, that's super ungood, like we talked about yesterday, right? Or if you see roofs that got wind damage, even if it's just a piece, like so, you'll learn to look for what to see. But as far as when you go to the neighborhood, do not. So here's what a bunch of guys are going to do, and every single guy last week in the training, I've never had every single one. Every single one of the guys did it, and even though I told them what I'm about to tell you right now. When you go to a neighborhood, shut your mouth and freaking stay in that neighborhood. Don't get like 10, 15 doors in, like, this neighborhood's not any good. Let me go to the next one. Like the grass is not always greener. So when I give you guys a neighborhood coming up tomorrow, I'm going to give you a neighborhood. You want I'm giving you a neighborhood? Because that's where you're going. Like you're not going to hit 500 doors in a day. Like most neighborhoods, honestly, are 5. Like it'd blow your mind to know actually how many homes are in a neighborhood. It's crazy. You're like, oh man, I can get to this neighborhood in a day. No, you ain't. Like, no, you ain't. So, does that answer it for the most part? Now, what I will tell you is on that 11 to 1 time frame, and you'll get better at this. I would say don't do this until you really get a feel for it. But once you get a feel for it, this you can do. Signs of life. So like in Oklahoma, garages are storage. They're not garages. So if there's not a car in the driveway, there's probably nobody home. Like, I don't care how nice of a neighborhood it uses garages. It's stupid.
Everybody's in the garage.
Everybody wants to be private.
In the garage,
Yeah. So so that may be harder for you guys. Like I know when I went to Colorado, I'm like, looks like nobody's ever home. I'm hitting them all. You know what I mean? So, I mean, when in doubt, knock it, right? Oh,
that can give you more experience too. Like even if you
correct.
The more you knock at, the more you contact.
Yep. And we'll stop on this slide and we'll take a lunch. But so if you are in that neighborhood and you are having 10 conversations, but you're still low on inspections, remember, you haven't got on a roof yet, right? So if you're getting all no's, are they the same no's? So you'll notice, hey, Marcus, I knocked these 50 doors today. I had 10 conversations, but everybody told me, oh, there was no damage out here. If every person you talk to, for the most part, gives you the same response, what do you think's happening? Nope. Closer. What specifically? Means there's something you're doing or saying that's leading them all to that. Because think about it. You're talking to all these different people, right? So if you're talking to all these different people and they're all getting the same response, what's the common denominator? Right? So now if you talk to 10 different people and you get no's, but they're 10 different no's, what's the problem? Nope. It is still you. So Utah, you get Cody's help. It is still you, but if you get 10 no's, but they're all different no's, what's the problem? You got to guess.
It's harder to hear the comments from the crowd.
Yeah, so my question is, if you get 10 no's, but they all gave you no for a different reason, what are you getting? Okay, they muted. All right. So hopefully you guys can at least still hear me. If you're getting different no's, well, good thing is you're not leading them in a direction. That's also the bad thing. You're not leading them. You're bad at giving information. So in other words, you're getting objections and you don't know how to overcome them.
So would it be better instead of saying, hey, with the storm injury, walk up and say, I know the storm injury area the other day because
We're going to get there tomorrow. So, but here's the deal. Like, you're going to find there's like an opening line and we have a script, but what the script can't do is give you every rebuttal you're ever going to get. Right. So like, there's no way of knowing that. So if exactly what you do, carbon copy.
Do you guys have like a list of common objections?
Yes. Yep. So hold on a second. My OCD is kicking in right now. Okay, there we go. All right. Whew, how did that happen? So, yeah, if you're getting a bunch of different no's, it means you just don't know how to handle objections. So the good news is people are finding you interesting. You're actually getting people to think. So that's a good thing. That's a good problem. If you're like, man, everybody told me something different, that's good. What do you need to do to improve that? Work on those objections. Get your knowledge up. So like I said, that's a good thing. So that was the problem. I'll be honest. So like I'm naturally good at talking to people. Like I'm a naturally good salesperson. So I was getting all these different no's, right? I just had to get enough of them to start knowing what I needed to know to get past them, right? Now, if you're getting all the same no's, okay, well, you're going to be on the weaker side of things. You're just going to suck, right? So one way is sucking more than the other. So again, but if you don't write these things down, you don't know. So when I say, cool, you had 10 conversations. Good job. What did they say? And your rebuttal to me is, man, I feel like they all said this. Cool. I got nothing to give you. Do you feel like they all said that? How many people said this? Like you need to know what they say. Okay. You've got to write it down. I'm telling you right now, if you don't write it down, can you still get it? Yes, but you are going to massively increase how fast you learn it if you're writing it down. Okay. Write it down. It takes you a couple extra seconds, but it will literally start making you money faster. Trust me. So if you're weak on closing leads, there's a couple things the guys do wrong on leads. And we'll get into a whole thing on leads right off the bat. But where most people go wrong on leads is they don't think it's the same thing as door knocking. Yep. It's 100. You still have to create a relationship and a conversation out of thin air. Like some people get a lead and they think that it's different than when you just like, the only difference is, you know, somebody's going to open the door when you knock on it. Yeah. That's 100%. Like that's literally the only difference. Right. So, and then the other part that guys fail to believe on leads, what's the one guarantee that you have on leads?
Someone's probably going to be there and it's a chance for you to make a sale.
That they're interested in what you're selling? I don't know.
They know what you're doing.
So you're going to have competition. Okay. So when you're knocking on doors, nobody knows they have a problem. But if they got a lead, that means they have a problem and they've made a phone call. You think they just called one company? Yeah, they know it's expensive. When my wife and I had to put AC in a handful of years ago, I knew how much that was going to cost. You think I called one? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you ain't bought no AC apparently. Or is this 1970? No, because Carbon Cody over here definitely don't know. Man, Carbon, you got a nickname. What's up, Carbon Cody? CC. Oh, that's my dog C. Yeah, come on, CC. Come on. There it is. My dog CC. All right. So, but then the other thing where guys go wrong on leads, they make it about the money, not about the problem. Meaning you're aware that you're going to have competition. So you think the only thing that matters is you got to be the cheapest. So talking to one of our associates the other day, and he's walking me through this lead that he had. And he starts going through it, and I'm talking to him about it. We're going through the pipeline. We're figuring, I'm like, all right, did you get an authorization? Cool. Did you get a scope? Like trying to figure out where he went wrong, right? Then come to find out, The guy had a leak. He didn't even know it had a leak until the day he went to contract him. How's that not the first freaking thing you go over, right? So I'm going to give you guys, and again, we're going to get into it in a little bit, but just because it's a soapbox and I have to stand on it, the number one line to just break the ice and get the conversation going well with any lead that the other roofers aren't going to do, that will triple your income. You guys want it? Do you want to hear what it is? So hi, Isaiah. Marcus, the first priority. So just, here for the inspection. Tell me what's going on.
Oh, we got a little bit of a leak going on in the garage.
You just walk away, right? So notice I didn't say, are you having any leaks?
Yeah.
Are you having any problems? I know you got a problem. And I don't want to ask you, is it just this problem? Because you could say no, and then I may assume, oh, you have no problems. No, it's just not that problem. So I'm just going to say who I am. I'm going to say, what do you got going on? Then I'm going to step back. And guess what happens when I step back? What do you think they do? They walk outside and they start bam, 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 bam. And now I let them talk. And when you do this, 15 minutes later, you'll go, cool. And the conversation, so you'll go 10, 15 minutes without saying another word. And guess what? Half the other roofers don't even know there's an issue.
It's crazy. You go to some people's house, it's surprising how many people have like the water spots on their ceiling or something in their pretty new house.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't let, I don't know it, but you look at like you got a leak somewhere in this house or something, and they don't even care.
Yep. All good?
Oh, I just got one question. So say there is a leak in the house and you fix the roof. Are we repairing what's on the inside of the house as well with the insurance or no?
No. So when it comes to interior work, and this is one of those things, like we go back and forth on it. We've done it. We haven't done it. Man, interior work is straight up artistry. Okay. It is straight up artistry. When it comes to roofs, like people don't care. Like it's like, hey, it's my, but when it's interior, they know. Now here's the deal. Let's say you just have a small water stain, especially if it's a popcorn ceiling or a textured ceiling. Insurance is only going to pay for that one spot, period. Now I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care who you are, how good you are. I can blend that as best as I can. Best case scenario, you will see it if you look for it. A good work is you'll never know it's there. But if you know it's there and you go looking for it, you're never going to be happy. And insurance is never going to pay for what's right and do the whole thing. They're going to pay for the bare minimum. So it's just best to make recommendations, because when that painter comes in, he's going to explain that to him. He's going to tell them those things. They're going to be like, all right. And they'll be okay with it. Or it's only because I've done it. I've been like as clear as you can be. Like, if you look for this, you will see it. You're going to see it. And guess what happens? They're going to be like, hey, I can see that. Yeah, I told you were going to see it. Do you not? I remember I was like, blah, blah, blah. And you were like, no. And I was like, blah, blah, blah. So again, I've had an issue like that. You've had and they'll give you an insurance pays crap money for it. Like I've had $100 interior repair, hang up a freaking $16,000 insurance check. And it's like, here, okay, so we're going to have to blast. It's just not worth it. Now, am I telling you to give them the boot and say, haha, not my problem? No. We got guys that we're going to recommend. I'm going to get you set up, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll follow up on those guys. Like I'm going to be like, hey, so you used Isaiah. Was any good? Did it all work? And like, if I have a couple of people tell me, no, he sucked, I'm not going to keep recommending Isaiah then. Because we had a guy like that we were recommending here in the Tulsa office, and he was phenomenal. Well, then all of a sudden we started giving him too much work, and his work started getting bad. Like everybody's got their cap, right? So I'm a pretty good sales guy. I sling a lot of units. And, this guy may think when him and I first start a relationship, I'm going to give him a customer or two. I doubled his business with just me. And he started getting weak on his work. So I started finding other people. Because at the end of the day, that's my referral. I would rather you not refer them than to give a bad referral. Now, you want to be able to give a referral. Don't get me wrong. But there's nothing wrong with giving a referral. As long as you just, legitimately care, right? Hey, this is a problem. I want this fixed right. So it kind of goes back to, like I said, after you guys submit the job, technically you can walk away because the company knows that majority of you guys suck at doing follow-up and we want our customers happy. But what I would encourage you, if you want to be top, you don't walk away. What are the questions we got right now? Oh, Cody had something, but you lost it.
My brain hurts.
Did you just walk into the kitchen and go, why am I here? You're here for cookies.
My brain hurts.
All right, Utah Jazz, you guys got any questions before we break for lunch? Pretty good. What? You're only pretty good. You should be really good. Do you see how good I am at this? You should be really good, Kenneth. Come on now. There we go. Super good. I'll take it. All right, Eric, how about you? Are you super good? He gave a thumbs up. That's you're definitely gonna get made fun of by these kids. All right. So for you guys in Utah, in 1 hour, that Zoom link. So 12 o'clock your time, 1 o'clock our time. So in 1 hour, the Zoom link's going to be back up. I'll expect you to be there. In the meantime, enjoy your hour. Have yourself a phenomenal lunch.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep. And then for you boys here, and Josh, this includes you as well. You guys can go on about your own ways for the next hour, or if you want free lunch, I'll buy you guys some Chipotle.
Chipotle it is.
All right, Josh, you down for some Chipotle? Okay. Well, let me